At 67, Vince Gill is finally breaking the silence, and what he has to say could change the way fans see not only his solo career, but his time with one of rock and country's most legendary bands, the Eagles. For decades, Vince has been a familiar voice in country music, racking up awards, chart-topping hits, and the kind of respect that only comes with decades of consistent artistry. But after stepping onto the stage with the Eagles in the wake of Glenn Frey's passing, rumors began swirling about his experiences, his opinions, and even the inner workings of the band. For years, Vince stayed quiet, letting the music speak for itself. Now, as he embarks on a new solo tour in 2025, he's ready to open up. It's a bold moment. Imagine being invited to join a band whose legacy is nearly untouchable, a band that has sold millions of records worldwide, whose hits are etched into the cultural consciousness. For Vince, this wasn't just an opportunity. It was a responsibility. Fans had questions. The music press had questions. Even his peers were curious. And for years, Vince kept most of his thoughts private. But as interviews and social media posts from early 2025 started to hint at revelations, it became clear Vince was ready to tell his side. And it isn't just about the Eagles. This is about a lifetime in music, about how a young boy from Oklahoma grew into one of the most respected musicians of his generation. It's about the highs, the challenges, and the moments behind the scenes that nobody saw. From his early days picking up a guitar to his Grammy-winning solo hits, Vince's journey has been anything but ordinary. Layer that with the complexity of joining a band like the Eagles later in life, and you have a story filled with unexpected twists, quiet tensions, and ultimately triumph. The rumors themselves are tantalizing. Fans have speculated for years. What was it like stepping into Glenn Frey's shoes? Did creative differences arise? How did the dynamics of the band change with new blood? And now, Vince is ready to answer, not just in passing remarks, but in full, candid detail. His perspective promises insights into the music industry, the pressures of legacy, and the personal choices an artist makes when balancing fame, family, and artistry. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Vince's reflections aren't just another celebrity interview. They're a glimpse into the heart of a musician who has lived a dream, faced enormous challenges, and continues to shape the soundtrack of multiple generations. So buckle up, because what Vince Gill is revealing at 67 isn't just news. It's a story of passion, perseverance, and the unexpected turns that come with a lifetime in music. For Vince Gill, joining the Eagles wasn't just a career move. It was a culmination of a lifetime's ambition. Imagine spending decades in music, building your reputation one note at a time, then being invited to step into a band that has practically defined an era. The Eagles were and still are a symbol of musical perfection, soaring harmonies, intricate arrangements, and a legacy that fans treat like sacred history. And yet, when Vince received the invitation, it wasn't a simple yes. Behind that excitement lay a swirl of doubts, nerves, and the unspoken pressure of filling a role previously held by one of the most iconic figures in rock history. Vince's journey to that moment is as inspiring as it is complex. Starting in Oklahoma, he picked up a guitar at a young age, absorbing influences from country legends and rock icons alike. By the 1980s, he had cemented his place in the country music world, with a string of hits and multiple Grammy wins. But nothing in his career could prepare him for stepping into the Eagles' world. The band's history was filled with intense creative personalities, long-standing collaborations, and a fan base that had nearly mythologized their every move. Vince knew that joining wasn't just about playing the music. It was about respecting a legacy while leaving his own mark. Initial rehearsals were intense. According to insiders, Vince had to learn not only the intricate guitar parts, but also how to mesh with the band's unique vocal harmonies, which fans knew inside and out. And then there was the emotional weight of performing songs closely associated with Glenn Frey. Vince has described those first performances as both thrilling and humbling, a mix of exhilaration and quiet reverence. Every note carried expectation. Every stage presence demanded authenticity. Yet, Vince's dedication, humility, and undeniable talent quickly earned him respect. He wasn't just filling a spot. He was adding a new dimension, a fresh energy that both honored the past and expanded the band's sound. The rumors about tension and creative disagreements began almost immediately. Fans speculated that Vince's style might clash with the band's established rhythm, that his presence could upset long-standing dynamics. But Vince has recently confirmed that while there were challenges, collaboration always came first. The band members were protective of the music, yes, but also open to growth. Vince's candid accounts reveal late-night sessions, passionate debates over arrangements, and the quiet moments when inspiration struck in unexpected ways. By stepping into the Eagles at 67, Vince Gill proved that age isn't a barrier to achievement, and that passion, skill, and respect can create something timeless. What he experienced behind the scenes goes beyond music. It's a lesson in resilience, adaptation, and the courage to embrace opportunity even when it comes with immense pressure. And as Vince reflects today, he acknowledges that every challenge, every high-pressure rehearsal, and every skeptical glance from fans shaped not only his own artistry, but also the evolution of one of rock's most legendary bands. The story doesn't end here, though. Behind the applause and accolades lies a side of Vince's journey most fans have never heard. And what happened next would shock everyone who thought they knew the whole story. Almost immediately after Vince Gill joined the Eagles, whispers began circulating among fans, music journalists and insiders alike. Rumors have a way of spreading fast, especially when a revered band welcomes a new member into their tight-knit circle. Some fans speculated that Vince might struggle to fit in, given his country roots and the band's rock-centric legacy. Others suggested creative tensions were brewing behind the scenes, hinting that the dynamics weren't as harmonious as the sold-out show suggested. For decades, the Eagles had carefully cultivated an image of perfection, so the mere suggestion of internal friction was enough to capture widespread attention. One of the most persistent rumors revolved around Vince's relationship with the remaining original members. Fans speculated whether the band had fully accepted him, or if subtle disagreements simmered under the surface. Stories circulated about late-night studio sessions, where disagreements over arrangements or vocal harmonies allegedly became heated. Vince, in interviews, has now addressed these whispers, explaining that while there were challenges, they were part of normal creative collaboration. No egos clash beyond repair, and the tensions, if they existed, were brief sparks rather than lasting fires. Still, the speculation fueled endless discussion online, from fan forums to social media threads, with people dissecting every performance for signs of discord. Another rumor suggested that Vince's inclusion might shift the band's signature sound, steering it subtly toward his own style. The Eagles fans are famously protective of the band's musical identity, and any hint of change triggered strong opinions. Vince's blend of country warmth with rock polish, combined with his masterful guitar work, led to both excitement and skepticism. Some early performances were scrutinized for deviations from the classic sound, fueling talk that Vince might be too different to mesh seamlessly. In reality, these adaptations were intentional. Vince respected the band's legacy while gently infusing his own personality, creating nuanced variations that enriched the music without altering its soul. Perhaps the most sensational rumors, though, were personal. Stories circulated about Vince's lifestyle, health, and behind-the-scenes behavior on tour. While some were entirely baseless, Vince addressed a few publicly, hinting at the stress, the long hours, and the intense scrutiny he faced. Fans were fascinated by his honesty, especially because he rarely speaks publicly about private matters. It was clear that joining the Eagles at 67 wasn't just a professional milestone. It carried emotional, physical, and psychological weight, and the rumors reflected both admiration and envy from those watching closely. In reality, Vince's experience was a mix of exhilaration, adjustment, and growth. What started as speculation gradually transformed into admiration as fans witnessed his skill, humility, and dedication on stage. His ability to honor the Eagles' legacy while subtly leaving his mark reassured skeptics and delighted longtime listeners. But even as the rumors faded, some lingering mysteries remained, the ones Vince hinted at but didn't fully reveal, and what he would finally confirm later left even the most devoted fans stunned. For years, Fans had only glimpsed fragments of Vince Gill's experience joining the Eagles. Rumors and speculation swirled, but the full story remained locked behind closed doors until now. At 67, Vince has finally opened up, revealing the intricate, sometimes surprising reality of stepping into a band with such a monumental legacy. What he shared isn't just about music. It's about pressure, friendship, adaptation, and the unexpected lessons that come when you take on a role few could imagine filling. Vince began by describing the first few months as a whirlwind of emotions. There was a thrill of performing with legends, yes, but also an undercurrent of tension. Every rehearsal, every performance carried the weight of expectations, both from fans and from the band itself. Vince admitted he often questioned himself, wondering if he could truly do justice to the songs fans cherished. What made it more complex was the legacy of Glenn Frey. Every note Vince played, every harmony he added, was measured against a standard that had been etched into music history decades earlier. Yet, Vince approached it with humility. He listened, learned, and adapted, always mindful that he was joining, not replacing. But the story goes deeper than music. Vince spoke candidly about the personal challenges he faced behind the scenes. The schedule was grueling, weeks on the road, constant rehearsals, media appearances, but he embraced it. He described moments of quiet reflection in hotel rooms after long shows, thinking about how far he'd come and the responsibility of honoring the Eagles' legacy. The pressure to perform flawlessly was immense, and he admitted there were times when fatigue and self-doubt threatened to overwhelm him. Yet each obstacle became an opportunity to grow, to refine his craft, and to prove to himself that age was no barrier to achieving something extraordinary. One revelation that caught many fans by surprise was how collaborative the environment actually was. Despite rumors of conflict, Vince described a band dynamic filled with mutual respect. Ideas were debated passionately, arrangements were adjusted late into the night, and inspiration struck in unexpected ways. It wasn't always easy, and sometimes creative disagreements sparked tension, but these moments ultimately strengthened the music. Vince emphasized that what outsiders saw as drama was, in reality, a sign of dedication to excellence, a commitment to making the best music possible. Finally, Vince touched on the emotional side of joining the Eagles. Beyond accolades and sold-out shows, it was about connection. Connected with the band, connected with the music, and connected with fans who had carried these songs in their hearts for decades. He recalled the overwhelming feeling of playing classic hits and seeing audience members sing along, sometimes word for word. It was a reminder that music is timeless, and that stepping into a legendary band wasn't just a career milestone. It was a chance to become part of something enduring. And just when fans thought they had heard it all, Vince hinted at moments that had never been shared publicly. Decisions made in the studio, small personal struggles, and victories that went unnoticed by the world. These are the behind-the-scenes truths that elevate his story from a simple career move to a testament of perseverance, talent, and heart. After Vince Gill's experience with the Eagles became public knowledge, the reaction from fans, critics, and the music industry was instantaneous and intense. For decades, Vince had built a reputation as a masterful guitarist and a soulful singer, beloved in country music circles. But stepping into the Eagles' orbit brought him exposure to an entirely new audience, one whose expectations were as legendary as the band itself. The reactions ranged from admiration to skepticism, from excitement to quiet apprehension, reflecting the high stakes of joining one of rock's most iconic ensembles. The first major indicator of public sentiment came during the initial tour performances. Sold-out arenas, countless cameras, and thousands of fans scrutinizing every chord. Vince was under a microscope unlike anything he had experienced before. Early reviews praised his technical prowess, his seamless integration into the band's harmonies, and the warmth he brought to live performances. Yet, some critics questioned whether a country icon could truly mesh with the rock-centric sound of the Eagles. Social media amplified every opinion, creating waves of debate that kept the story alive, from casual listeners to die-hard fans dissecting each show. Vince himself admitted that the scrutiny was daunting at first. He knew that every note he played would be measured not only against his own legacy, but also against the standards of the band that had defined an era. But what really captured public attention was a subtle, emotional moment during one particular show. Vince described it as a turning point. Standing on stage, looking out at thousands of faces singing along with every note. In that instant, he realized the skepticism and rumors didn't matter. The music had transcended doubt. Fans posted clips online, sparking a viral discussion that drew in new audiences and reminded longtime listeners why the Eagles' music had endured for decades. The warmth of the reception was amplified by interviews in which Vince shared candid reflections about the journey, further humanizing a figure many had only admired from afar. The media reaction was equally fascinating. Music magazines and online platforms began to explore the narrative not just as a band story, but as a personal journey of perseverance and adaptability. Headlines highlighted the unlikely but perfect fit, emphasizing Vince's ability to honor the legacy of the Eagles while leaving his own unmistakable mark. The story resonated because it was relatable. Even someone with immense talent, accolades, and experience could face doubts, criticism, and pressure, but still rise to the occasion. And while the world celebrated, Vince quietly navigated the subtleties of fame, remaining humble and focused on his craft. Fans who had once speculated about tensions behind the scenes now marveled at the harmony and mutual respect displayed on stage. It became clear that the rumors, while entertaining, had only hinted at the real story, a story of dedication, courage, and the quiet victories that define a musician's legacy. Even years later, the moment the world finally reacted remains a benchmark in Vince's career, a testament to resilience and artistry. But despite the accolades and praise, Vince's journey had more layers to reveal, moments that went beyond the stage, into private struggles, personal triumphs, and truths that only time could fully illuminate. Joining the Eagles at 67 wasn't just a professional milestone for Vince Gill. It became a masterclass in life, resilience, and artistry. Over the years, Vince has reflected on the lessons this experience taught him, insights that go far beyond performing on stage or recording in the studio. These lessons reveal not only his musical evolution, but also the deeper truths of navigating fame, collaboration, and personal growth later in life. One of the first lessons Vince highlighted was the value of humility. Despite decades of awards, chart-topping hits, and widespread recognition, he found himself in a position where he had to learn, adapt, and sometimes follow rather than lead. This wasn't a challenge to his ego. It was an opportunity to observe, absorb, and improve. Vince explained that listening closely to his bandmates, respecting their history, and understanding the legacy he had stepped into was crucial. The experience reinforced that no matter how accomplished someone is, there's always more to learn, especially when stepping into uncharted territory. Another lesson Vince emphasized was the importance of patience. The Eagles' dynamic, like many legendary bands, wasn't built overnight. Integrating into their sound required time, persistence, and the ability to navigate both musical and personal nuances. Vince spoke candidly about moments when progress felt slow or when he doubted himself. Yet he realized that growth often comes gradually and that persistence, coupled with passion, can turn challenges into achievements. Fans watching the evolution of performances could see the harmony strengthen over time, but behind the scenes, it was a careful, deliberate process, one that demanded patience and resilience. Vince also learned the power of collaboration. Though he had always been a strong solo artist and bandleader in his own right, joining the Eagles required embracing a collective vision. He shared stories of late-night studio sessions where ideas were debated, reworked, and refined. What could have been tension-filled moments became opportunities to create something better than any individual could achieve alone. Vince described this as one of the most rewarding aspects of the journey, learning how to balance his own creative instincts with the band's established style, ultimately discovering new facets of his musicianship. Perhaps the most profound lesson, however, was about embracing the unexpected. Joining the Eagles was not something Vince had meticulously planned. It was an opportunity that appeared later in life, challenging him to step outside comfort zones and face scrutiny from a global audience. Vince reflected on how rewarding it can be to accept risks, even when the path isn't fully clear. The experience reinforced that growth often comes from embracing change, and that true artistry isn't just about skill. It's about courage, adaptability, and heart. Through these lessons, Vince Gill's story transcends music. It becomes a blueprint for anyone navigating transitions, challenges, or late-life opportunities. Humility, patience, collaboration, and courage are universal lessons that resonate far beyond the stage. Vince's reflections remind us that reinvention is always possible, no matter age or circumstance, and that the journey itself, filled with learning, doubt, and triumph, is as valuable as the destination. Vince Gill's journey, culminating in his late career collaboration with the Eagles, isn't just a story about musical milestones. It's about the enduring impact of a life dedicated to artistry, integrity, and connection. Over decades, Vince has quietly built a legacy that spans genres, generations, and geographies, leaving an imprint that resonates far beyond the notes he plays or the awards he's received. His recent experiences only added depth, showing that even after decades of success, reinvention and relevance remain possible, and that true influence comes from more than fame or skill. From his early days as a young country musician, Vince demonstrated a rare combination of talent and humility. He consistently sought to refine his craft, often exploring collaborations and projects that pushed his creative boundaries. Joining the Eagles at 67 could have been seen as a late-stage endeavor, but for Vince, it became an affirmation of his lifelong commitment to music. By embracing this opportunity, he reinforced the notion that a musician's journey isn't confined to age or past accolades. It's a continuous evolution, fueled by passion and curiosity. Vince's influence extends beyond his technical prowess. His songwriting, characterized by emotional resonance and lyrical honesty, has shaped modern country music and inspired countless artists. He has a knack for capturing universal human experiences, love, loss, hope, and resilience, in ways that feel personal to each listener. This storytelling ability, paired with his mastery of instruments like the guitar and mandolin, has solidified his reputation as not only a performer, but a genuine artist whose work withstands the test of time. The collaboration with the Eagles added a new chapter to this legacy, demonstrating versatility and courage. Vince navigated the high expectations of fans and critics alike, proving that his artistry could bridge genres and generations. His willingness to step into such a high-profile, scrutinized role reinforced a vital lesson for aspiring musicians and fans alike. Legacy isn't just about past achievements. It's about continuous relevance, adaptability, and the ability to inspire others through action, not just words. Beyond music, Vince's character also defines his legacy. Known for his humility, generosity, and advocacy within the music community, he has consistently used his platform to support fellow artists, charities, and causes close to his heart. His authenticity, both on and off stage, creates a model of what it means to succeed without losing oneself to fame or ego. It's this combination of talent, character, and resilience that cements his place not just in music history, but in the hearts of fans worldwide. Ultimately, Vince Gill's legacy is multifaceted, a testament to mastery, growth, and human connection. His story, from early struggles to late career triumphs, illustrates that music and life is a journey of persistence, courage, and evolution. He leaves behind more than songs or performances. He leaves a blueprint for how to remain creatively vital, personally grounded, and inspiring, no matter the stage of life. Vince's journey is a living reminder that legacy isn't simply inherited. It's built, nurtured, and continuously expanded, and his influence will echo long after the final note fades. Looking back on Vince Gill's journey, it's clear that his story is about more than talent or accolades. It's about persistence, reinvention, and the courage to embrace new chapters, even decades into a successful career. From his early days in country music to his iconic solo work, and finally, joining the Eagles at 67, Vince has shown that growth doesn't stop with age and that the pursuit of artistry is a lifelong endeavor. His story challenges the idea that milestones must come early. Instead, it illustrates that the right opportunities, approached with dedication and humility, can redefine a legacy at any point in life. Vince's journey is also a testament to the power of collaboration and the unexpected rewards of stepping outside comfort zones. Joining a legendary band like the Eagles required him to adapt, listen, and harmonize, not just musically, but personally. Fans who witnessed this collaboration saw not only incredible performances, but also a masterclass in patience, respect, and creative synergy. Vince's reflections about these experiences provide valuable insights for anyone navigating transitions or pursuing new challenges, showing that success isn't just about talent. It's about openness, perseverance, and a willingness to embrace change. Equally important is the personal side of Vince Gill. He has maintained a grounded, authentic presence in an industry that often celebrates drama and ego. His humility, generosity, and dedication to supporting fellow artists and charitable causes have added layers to his legacy, showing that a life well-lived combines personal integrity with professional achievement. Vince's story reminds us that true influence goes beyond awards, charts, or public recognition. It's measured by the lives touched, the inspiration provided, and the example set through actions, not just words. As viewers reflect on Vince Gill's late career triumphs, the key takeaway is clear. It's never too late to evolve, create, and leave a mark. His experience proves that age and previous achievements don't limit what's possible. They can actually provide the perspective and confidence needed to take bold, meaningful steps. Vince's journey encourages all of us to embrace new opportunities, to collaborate, and to remain passionate about our craft, no matter where we are in life. If there's one thing we can take from Vince Gill's story, it's that artistry, courage, and authenticity are timeless. The lessons he shared through his music and his experiences remind us to stay curious, stay humble, and stay committed to growth. His legacy is not static. It continues to evolve, inspiring generations of musicians and fans alike to push boundaries and seize opportunities, even when they arrive later than expected. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story about Vince Gill and want more in-depth explorations of legendary artists and their untold stories, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. There's plenty more fascinating journeys coming your way, and you won't want to miss a single chapter.